So we're going to talk about you and about your experience with acting, your experience with doing this resetting work. But let's maybe start with the beginning. When did you start acting?
Ooh, when I came out of my mother's vagina. No,
I've never had this answer, so it's perfect. We can finish the interview here. We're done.
um, yeah, no, I actually started acting. I started working I went to my first theater group when I was 12
Hmm.
because I had I was always bored in school, and so I went to the specialist, and he was like, maybe she'll like theater. And
Hmm.
so I started theater, and I really liked it. A
Hmm.
no-brainer. Yeah.
And so you were acting all the time, all your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all through high school. And then I did like an internship in a theater. And then I
Hmm.
went to acting school after.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
then, yeah, and then I worked.
You worked. Okay.
And yeah,
And
but for me, it was
what?
always
Yeah.
acting. And this is what I like about
Hmm.
the work with you is for me, it was never just about, or we can get into that later, but it was never just about acting, but it was
Hmm.
also always about creating and writing
Hmm.
stories
Hmm.
and telling my own stories. So
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yes.
part of
Because you,
acting for me too.
yes, definitely. Because you create your own content. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, so how was acting after being a child actor, after having studied acting in traditional acting school? How did acting feel for you?
Well, there were always moments where I felt really connected and where I always felt like there was a flow and where like the room kind of became weird and time kind
Hmm.
of became different. I
Hmm.
always had those moments, but
Yeah.
I could never recreate them. Like they would
Yeah.
happen to me,
They would
but
happen. Yeah.
then but then they wouldn't, and then I would like go and like mm, practice for 10 hours in the room, and I could never get there again. So
Yeah.
that was what acting was like. I was always running after this magical moment that
I want
sometimes
this magical
happened.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard many people say that, like the moments of grace or the in the zone,
Yeah.
I feel them, and when I feel them, it's amazing, and I have no idea how I got there, so I can't go
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Okay,
the more
great.
I try, the less it
Yeah,
works. That's how it
of
used to
course.
be.
Of
Yeah.
course. So is that why our paths crossed and that you decided to actually do a different type of acting work or training and you decided to reset and go inside of yourself?
Yeah, that was that. And when I did that first like tryout thing, I was like, oh, I got this random email, and then I got this free trial, and we did this exercise where I was moving around, and you were like, here you go, move, move, move. And then I was like, oh yeah, this feels like it's kind of going towards that.
What you were looking for. Yeah. I like how you described my coaching. Yeah. That's what I do with people. People are always like, what do you do? And I'm like, yeah. It's a good description. It's a good description.
No, you saw
Um,
something there. You were like, I don't remember what you said. It was I
I
was like,
usually
how does she see that through Zoom
no,
also?
I don't say anything smart that comes from me. All I do is I'm a good mirror. That's all I
Yeah.
that I can take a medal for being a good mirror, but that's all. Um, okay. And then so you started this work and how was it? Like in the experiencing of doing this work, how was it in terms of challenging, confronting, fun, all of the above?
It was very challenging. It was always
Hmm.
like a bit too much than I could
Yeah.
handle. And I praised myself for being quite disciplined, but yeah,
Hmm.
there was like it was kind of impossible to do it, make to fulfill all the
Yeah.
tasks in a way.
Hmm.
And I also think that is part of your strategy.
Yeah. My
um, do this and this and this. So yeah, so I'm just gonna keep on going like throughout the.
yeah.
So, no, what I think was part of what worked really well was that it was like every day. I don't remember which journey it was, but there was one journey where it was literally like every
Every
day,
day.
and we
Mm-hmm.
met every day, and we did the stuff, and it was just kind of this whole, just really down to the nitty gritty of
Yeah.
just changing the perspective
Yeah. And your neural pathways. Yeah.
that I think was so helpful. And
Mm-hmm.
also, most of the exercises were terrifying, but they were also always really fun
Mm-hmm.
on the other side somehow.
Yeah.
So, and energizing. And I think
Yeah.
that's what kept me there up to the
Mm-hmm.
point where now sometimes I'm like, oh, I actually need to do this exercise not because I want to be a better actress, but just
Yeah.
because I feel better afterwards.
Yeah. 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 It's a practically a mental health thing at one point when you're the I sometimes I don't like to use the word the work anymore. Like it's not work we do because it's all undoing. So we don't do anything, so it can't be work. So I don't know what to call it anymore. But the practices definitely are aiming for truth, for your truth, not the truth, but for your truth, and so that you can hear your truth, so that you can feel your truth, because of course conditioning prevents you from listening to your truth and your freedom and makes you follow and behave and be a good girl and be a nice girl and blah blah blah. And so inevitably it we're not in the perspective that you have to act, but more like that you can show up in being. And when you undo all of this stuff, well, then you land into your core, right? Into your truth, and that affects everything that you do, whether it's your capacity to be feeling well inside of yourself, or your capacity to show up fully present and free and truthful
Yeah.
in acting. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And being me is also like horrible. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I got used to it now. At
Yeah.
the beginning, it was like, I can't even, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, that's what I had to, I think that's what really helped, or that's what made me richer, is because
Mm-hmm.
I always thought I can't be
Yeah.
me because
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody wants that, and nobody will, I mean, I will die if I am
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I have
Everyone
chills
will
when I
kill me.
yeah, I have chills when I'm listening to you speaking, because I'm remembering those moments where you were like, no, I can't be this true version of me right now, and I would make you do it, and it was so spectacular. I still remember those moments very specifically, very inspiring, very beautiful. Like there's nothing else that you would possibly be that's more interesting than you. Like, what else are you going to do? Like, try to be smarter than nature? Like, put a mask that's going to be more interesting than your reality? It can't be. But we think
And
that way because we're raised that way, right? It's not your fault. It's like everyone's raised that way with a
yeah,
mask.
and not every, I mean, still, like, it's also been very helpful that I realized that this does also kind of work in the industry, not
Mm-hmm.
always. Like, there
Mm-hmm.
was, there was one thing I did. This is actually in my show that I did. Like, I played a mother who was drowning, and
Uh-huh.
I like really went into what that would mean for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I screamed so hard that they had to edit it out of the movie
To edit it
because it
out of
was
the
too real.
yeah, that's the
They
thing
told
when
me like
you're
we couldn't use it. It was too real. And I was like, okay, so it's fine. It doesn't all, but also that experience, like
yeah,
it won't always work, but
for
it's fine.
everybody. But if it works
Exactly.
for you, like that's the perspective of the directors. It did work for them, and fair enough. It's a collaborative project. But Meryl Streep says it very eloquently. She says the difference between a good actor and a great actor is the great actor is ready to go out on a limb. The great
Yeah.
actor is ready to yell like a crazy woman and have that edited out of the show because that was the truth. And that's where
Yeah.
greatness lies. It doesn't lies in I'm going to please the director, because then you're not in your body, you're not present, you're pleasing, which is a very different thing than being present, right? It's not the same thing. Cool. So yeah, so now how does acting feel? Um the title is that you have found your artistic voice. So what does that mean when you're on a stage or on a set?
Well, that means that I can give myself to a situation and I can live it. And I obviously still sometimes have ideas of what it should be like and get caught up in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have the tools to get back to that. That is not the question. That question doesn't exist because I'm here and I'm living this situation. So what it should be is not in this reality.
No, no, it's
if that
invented.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's invented.
And that,
if you're trying to work on something that's invented of what it should be, there's no right or wrong about what it should be because you are the person. You are the character in that moment. So if you're trying to satisfy a thing that you invented that's not in reality, obviously you're looping out of your body and out of presence, out of the story, out of
and that is just something I can always come back to wherever I am and kind of reintegrate whatever is there and use it. And that's just also so cool that I'm just like, oh, everything I need is there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. How eloquent. Is there anything else you would like to share with people who are watching this and have no idea what we're talking about and what this work is?
I just also saw there's like some people in my friend group that I'm like, how did you even know that I'm here? But fair enough.
Social media does that.
The algorithm. What would I like to add? I would like to add if more people could work like this, then maybe some of the problems we had would no longer exist. This is my,
yeah.
Because we're taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of, our wildness, and that might help to not have to consume as much, and that might be an answer to a lot of problems.
Yeah. Might help not to consume as much, to numb as much, to blame as much, to attack as much, to defend as much. Like if you're taking care of yourself, all those things that are so not fun to live. Yeah, correct. Well, great. Yeah, amen to that, I would say.
Yeah. So thank you for being around.
Yeah. Thank you too for being around, and then spreading that truth around in your shows and your stories, because that's what you do as actors, right? It's not an egocentric job. You definitely need to be there, and you need your ego to do it. Not just your ego, but you need a focused intention to do it. But what you are doing is that you are, connecting, sharing stories, reminding the audience of what it's like to be human, of what it means to be human, what it looks like to be human. So if you're not showing up that way, you're constantly giving back the message of conditioning, which we don't need anymore. It hasn't worked so far. So thank you, Lea.
All right, thank you. I will see you around.
Yeah, see you around next week.
Yeah,
ciao, and
care.
thank you for
Bye,
coming
Joe.
late. Bye.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. Bye bye.